So, this is Jesse Thomas. I'm one half of the hosts of That Other Sports Show, and I'm just kind of, well, hey, I figured if tomorrow's the end of the world, right, I might as well make a video, because all my other videos that I've ever made have kind of been stupid, and I don't think I've necessarily been myself through them. So, I will make one now, and hopefully it will be suitable for you all, and all that other jazz. So, I've noticed that most of the time when people make videos, they're mostly about complaining. They want to rant about things. They want to harp on things that bother them, and I get that. That's what social media is for, and YouTube actually gives us a way to express ourselves visually, as well as verbally, or keyboardally. Write that word down. Put it in the dictionary. If you use it, pay me. So yeah, I'm going to complain about a few things that bother me, but I'm also going to try to be uplifting as well, seeing how it is the holiday spirit, and is running around wild right now with Christmas time fastly approaching us, with only about 5 days or so left. So first, I've been hearing a lot about this whole Johnny Hendricks, George St. Pierre thing, and I get it, and he should be pissed. I get that as well. He was passed over for a title shot to a guy who barely shows up to fight at all, if and when he actually fights, instead of being suspended indefinitely by state commissions and all that sort of thing. But here's the deal. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. The secret is just my opinion, so it doesn't really matter. But you know what? The UFC is not in the business of making friends, whether you guys want to believe that or not. Dana White and the Fertittas are not sitting around thinking, man, how can I get more people on my Facebook page? I want more friends. Trust me, their money is their friend, and if not so, then it can buy them better friends than all of us. So making us happy, in my opinion, in my view, really is just a secondary thing for the UFC, and for most other organizations as well. I'm not going to just lump the UFC into that alone. I'm going to say that for the most part, it's definitely it's something that all promotions do, because they got to make money to keep promoting and putting on fights, so all of us can watch and yell and scream about our favorite fighters or our least favorite fighters on Twitter and Facebook and so on and so forth. So him being passed up is regrettable. It's unfortunate for him and for a lot of his fans, his real fans. I can go on forever about fans of the sport, but for his real fans and his friends and his family and himself, of course, it's very unfortunate. It's sad, but it is a business. I'm not quite sure if he's getting that, but I think he will. My thing with this little beef that he has is that, let's be real, if George St. Pierre could avoid the first couple minutes, like Martin Kampmann couldn't do, and get Hendricks on the ground, I am inclined to think that GSP is a better wrestler and probably has a much better top game than Johnny Hendricks. I know that Hendricks, in his last fight against Kampmann, people were saying, well, Kampmann can submit him, and then Hendricks came out and said, well, actually, people don't understand, but my jiu-jitsu game is actually quite good. But I'm going to stick by my thoughts and think that George St. Pierre just has an overall better game than does Johnny Hendricks. But back to Johnny and his complaining. Like I said, I get it, and I think most of you do too, even though a lot of you will want to go to greater lengths to say things about Canadians. George St. Pierre, I don't know. If you say anything bad about Rory McDonald, go right ahead. I personally dislike that guy very, very much, and yes, Rory, you were showboating against BJ Penn. There is no doubt about it in my mind. or anybody else's mind. Even your trainer has got to believe that you were showboating your hipster Canadian ass off in the cage that night. But anyway, don't get me started on Rory McDonald. Johnny Hendricks come out and said, GSP is scared of me. He's ducking me. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that I don't believe that GSP's ever ducked anybody. He's come into fights on short notice, and he's come into fights unhealthy, and he's come into fights banged up and battered and bruised, and he, for the most part, if you look at his record, has definitely come out on top. That is why he is the welterweight champion and has been for an extremely large amount of time. So no, Johnny, he is not ducking you. I think that he literally just does not like Nick Diaz and whatever Nick Diaz did to, well, piss him off. Which could be a number of things because Nick Diaz is good at pissing people off. But anyway, so that's what it is. It's about business. It's about making money. It's not about making fans. It's really not about making friends. And as far as enemies go, the UFC and Zuffa, they have their fair share of enemies as well, and unsupporters. So I don't think that they really care about them either. So Johnny Hendricks, I think, is just being a wine bag, and he should just accept his fate, which is a fight with Jake Ellenberger, which I don't even think that he should have taken in the first place. I think that he should have just waited. I think that he should have waited and trained some more, rested a little bit, trained some more, rested, and then just waited till this whole Nick Diaz GSP fight was over with. And then by virtue of fights won in a row and how the UFC picks and chooses number one contenders, Dana has already said that as long as Hendricks wins, he will get his title shot. And I think that he was almost promised a title shot after the GSP Diaz fight anyway. So just sit back, bro. You know, let the beer cool off a little and just chill. You being a wine bag doesn't make you look any better. Matter of fact, this makes George St. Pierre come off looking even cleaner than he usually does. And George St. Pierre usually looks pretty clean from all standpoints. I mean, the guy is just, he's a stud, and he's proven it time and time again. I do think that Johnny Hendricks, by the way, is probably the closest thing in the welterweight division to actually be able to get close to defeating George St. Pierre. And that's just because of those mitts that he brings with him and throws so well. Nick Diaz is going to get humped for 25 minutes, and definitely not in a good way. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be some elbows involved and knees to the ribs and midsection whilst being held on the ground by a far superior athlete. By the way, I picked George St. Pierre to beat Nick Diaz, if you didn't catch that. Moving on. By the way, while I'm making this video, I am saying that the views expressed by myself are not those fully expressed by That Other Sports Show or its other co-host, Jay Valdez. I'm just making that valid so you all understand that him and I, this is a separate thing right now. This video, and if I make any more, will be separate from That Other Sports Show. And what I think isn't necessarily what Jay thinks, and vice versa, but that's what makes That Other Sports Show so good. By the way, plug That Other Sports Show on blogtalkradio.com/thedoctor81. You can also find us on Stitcher.com under That Other Sports Show. We are also on radioundertheinfluence.com. And we had some YouTube stuff going on, but I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with that. But I might throw these videos up there instead. And well, that's all the plug I'm going to throw in for right now. We'll move on. Rory McDonald. Just because I don't like that guy, I want to talk about him for a few minutes. Just, you know, as a fan, you come to a point where you come across a certain fighter that you dislike for multiple reasons. Most of those reasons are because of just, in fact, jealousy. Let's face it. Rory McDonald is a stud. And he comes out of a stud training camp where he fights amongst other studs. But Rory comes off a little... The comparison, to say the least, between him and George St. Pierre can be made athletically and skill-wise, but definitely not personality. George St. Pierre doesn't come off as an ass. Rory McDonald does, and I think he does it on purpose. I think he's trying to make a statement about himself by the way he carries himself and handles himself in the media and during interviews and such. And to go back to that BJ Penn fight, let's face it, besides the fact that BJ Penn probably shouldn't be fighting, period, which hurts because I love BJ Penn and I am a big fan, but I'm not sure if he should be competing at this point in time in his career, in his life. But if he still considers himself such a great athlete, which I'm not saying that he's not, just saying that, once again, skill-wise, as far as MMA goes, the youngsters have taken over this sport. He definitely shouldn't have taken that fight against Rory McDonald in general. Rory's a giant compared to BJ. BJ's a 155er, and that's just the way that goes. There's no denying it. And you look back on paper, as far as through his record and stuff goes, 155 is where he shines. And I actually think and believe that if BJ Penn was to go back to 155 and compete, I think that he'd be able to upset a lot of up-and-coming lightweights. And if anything, I would love to see not so much Eddie Alvarez. I think Eddie may have a few too many offensive weapons for BJ at this point in time in both their careers. But to put Gilbert Melendez in the same cage against BJ Penn at 155, I think would be an amazing fight. But back to Rory. Rory completely had the advantage over BJ, and I don't think it was fair fight. And then for Rory to be shuffling his feet and doing the Muhammad Ali style showboating with his hands and his posture, and then even going as far as, shall I say, Nick Diaz-esque, by throwing his hands straight down and daring BJ to hit him. Some people say that the one reason Rory didn't finish that fight is because BJ was coming over with an overhand right and tagging him each time when he actually did come in to strike hard and try to finish BJ. I disagree. I think that those shots that BJ were landing were, they weren't much punitive, if that fits. Definitely not shots that were going to knock Rory out or knock him down, really. May have shook him in the first, second round. But when the part of the fight that I'm talking about right now, as far as Rory trying to finish, BJ was done. Mentally, physically, done. He was spent. I think he was mentally done in the first. At the end of the first round, I think he could have just thrown in the towel again. But Rory took advantage. He didn't finish on purpose. He was trying to make a statement that he was that much better than BJ Penn, the legend, the prodigy. And the only statement that I've seen that Rory made is that, yes, he's a great athlete, and yes, his talents are up there with some of his training partners like George St. Pierre. But if he doesn't get the attitude fixed and adjusted, or possibly have it adjusted for him by some other welterweight, hopefully Carlos Condit can do it, although I'm real doubtful on that as well. I just don't see him being a fan favorite here in the States. In Canada, maybe, but definitely the people aren't going to like him here. It's the way I very much dislike Rory McDonald very much. And I'm a pretty easygoing, nice guy. I usually tend to like everybody, or at least give people a chance. And I can't stand watching Rory McDonald fight or talk in interviews. I can't. It bugs me. Makes me angry. Upsets me. I don't like to be upset. So with that being said, I'm going to move on because my rant's coming up on 15 minutes here pretty soon. Things that I do like, the social media stuff, and as far as that other sports show goes, and I am just going to throw this out right now, there's been a lot of people that I've met, especially over the past couple weeks, that are very, very cool people. And there are some people that I've come across that have said that they would like to talk to me or my partner Jay as far as coming across with sponsorships or giving away a t-shirt in the name of the show kind of thing, which we've had pretty good luck in, and we are very thankful to all those guys. People like Tri-Costa MMA. Tri-Costa gave us some t-shirts. Crucifix USA, crucifixusa.com. Go there and check out their stuff. They rep real fighters, fighters with heart, and they themselves as a company have plenty of heart. Now I'm in line to sort of get down with top-rated MMA, which I'm very excited about. Thus far, we seem to have a good rapport going, and they want to work with lots of people, not just one set or brand or stable. which is good because I don't necessarily think that our brand deserves to be settled with, you know, like a Nike and that's it, you know, or be sponsored by like the UFC and that's it, nothing else. I like the variety. That's what the MMA community is really about. Most of us don't see it that way, and to each their own. I'm not going to bash on any of you. Your views on me or my show or the MMA community in a whole really has no effect or well, it just doesn't have any effect on me. So I'm not going to worry about it. But I just want to say that I'm really thankful to a lot of you people out there who are really helping out. Flex Fit Nutrition, thank you guys. As I mentioned before, Top Rated MMA, thank you guys. Crucifix USA, thank you. Tricosa, thank you guys. All of you guys make what I want to do with this podcast all that much easier and all that much better and all that much more fun for us because we get to give back to the people who listen. And whether there's only 2 of you listening on a single night or 73, Jay and I appreciate all of you guys, and we really want you guys to know that we do this show because we have fun with it, yes. But we also do this show because I'd like to think that all of you guys have fun listening. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't do it, or we would do it a different way. We would try to have on all the big name guys. In 2013, I think you'll see some more names pop up on our guest list than, you know, Shay Rollins or our boy Chris W. Power or Rudy Cruz. But don't get me wrong, all those guys will be the fair portion of our shows until until this show stops being what it is, or you know, we become bigger than what it is. I don't know. But those guys are the basis of the show right now, and we love having those guys on, especially Rudy. Rudy's an amazing guy. We're going to have my boy Justin Von Doom on the show here pretty soon. He's going to talk about Glory and Dreams New Year's Eve event. We're going to have on some guys from Top Rated MMA and Jennifer Swift. The always beautiful Jennifer Swift has said that she would love to do a little piece with us on the show in the new year. Also, possibly, you know, but we may just have Sitch Duran on the show next week. And boxing's kind of big a thing. It's kind of been a thing that we start the show off with lately. A lot of big things in boxing going on. So maybe Sitch Duran. You know, I interviewed him one time before, but that was on one of my lesser shows. I don't have any problems with anybody else out there, I don't believe. And if you do have a problem with me, or you don't agree with something that I said, or you dislike something that I said, then please feel free to get a hold of me through Twitter. Most likely not Facebook, because, you know, I don't want my wife seeing a bunch of hate mail. So, but please, get a hold of me through Twitter and let me know. Or if you have something good to say about the show, or something, a topic that you would like to have brought up on the show or something, let us know. Anyway, last thing, Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, Part 2. For those of you who are saying that this fight's going to be exactly like the first, you are wrong. And I'll tell you why, because Cain, I think the nerves of being a first-time defending champion got to him, almost more than the injury to his knee. To defend your championship makes you a champion. To win the championship makes you an elevated challenger. When you're a champion, you're, of course, champion until someone takes that from you. And so I think that the first time, and with all the pressure of him being of Hispanic background, and just the pressures of what a champion in the UFC, especially the heavyweight champion, has to go through on a daily basis as far as interviews and everything else, I think is a little bit more than most others, just because the heavyweights are always like the big draw. So I think that for a lot of that fight, it was the nerves that really got to Cain Velasquez, and maybe the knee was a secondary issue. And then the thirdly issue was, of course, Junior Dos Santos and his deadly haymakers and stealthy attacks from the stand-up. I'm not saying that Junior is going to lose this fight. I think Junior will win this fight, but I think it's going to go to a decision. I literally think it's going to go 5 rounds. It's going to be a monster of a fight. I don't think anybody's getting pounded out or knocked out or submitted. I know that Junior has been going on, and I think that he's feeling some pressure now because people are saying, well, he's so happy and go lucky all the time. He's not like your average champion. Junior is a lighthearted, spirited guy, and I appreciate that, especially in a champion. I really do. We don't need Nick Diaz's all over the place, but I think it's going to be a battle. Junior said that he wants to fight people who are created from training, not created from gyms or supplements or something. Not quite sure on the quote, but it didn't make sense. It didn't sound like him. And then him coming out saying, "Well, I'm ready to submit somebody." Well, buddy, you're not submitting Cain Velasquez. He's too big, he's too strong, and he's never going to quit. This fight's going to be a 5-round war, and it's going to be a classic. That's my belief, at least. A classic. And I can't wait for the fight. Big shout-outs to AG MMA, Shay Rollins. I don't have Twitter stuff in front of me, so I don't necessarily know. I think it's at AGMMA and Shay_Rollins, I believe. You can also find Shay. Shay has some musical talents that he's unleashing upon the world on YouTube. So go and look up Shay Rollins on YouTube, and you can find those videos. And his opinion videos as well. Justin Von Doom, which is his Twitter handle. All those guys that I mentioned, the t-shirt companies and all that kind of stuff. Flex Fit Nutrition, Top Rated MMA, Crucifix USA. It's all that stuff, all combined with the little weird A-looking symbol. I don't know what it's called. If one of you guys do, tell me what it is, because I'm not sure what it is anyway. And there's so many more of you. Foxy79_, she shouted me out on one of her videos, so I'm going to say, good looking out, Foxy, and all the guys at Radio Under the Influence, all you guys, thank you for allowing our podcast to be on your website. Big shout out to Stitcher.com for accepting our partner affiliation. Shout out to just everybody I talk to and chat with. I know there's a ton of you, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to get you all on the video. My time's really running short. I'm running up on like 25 minutes here of just blabbering to no one. Hopefully some of you listen. I don't know. But anyway, the biggest shout out, of course, goes to my bro, Jay Valdez. You can find him. It's Valdez spelled backwards, 559. ZEDLAV 559. Jay literally brought me out of a coma that I had, like a personal coma, not like I was literally like laid out and couldn't do stuff. And he helped reinvent myself, and literally the reinvention was not a new person. It was literally the person that I was at one point in time. And then I started trying to be other people and put myself into different positions and be different characters, thinking that people were going to enjoy my podcast or myself or something more. Jay just helped me find myself. And I appreciate that very much. So find Jay on Twitter and give him a big shout out and say, hey, Jesse said nice things about you. And then, and shout out the show. Do the hashtag #ThatOtherSportsShow. Do that all day on Twitter because it makes me happy when I see it. Another person real quick, countermove.com. It's like fantasy football but with fighters and fighting. Go to Countermove. It starts with a K, countermove.com. Really cool website. I actually won like $7 or something from one of the last shows. So I before UFC 155, I gotta get on there and spend that $7. Anyway, go to blogtalkradio.com/thedoctor81, and there you will find all of our previous That Other Sports Show podcasts archived. You can also go to iTunes and find it there. You can go to Stitcher.com and find it there as well. And like I said, Radio Under the Influence. It's all one thing. Real quick, another big shout out goes to our baseball gurus who actually have their own show go to blogtalkradio.com/9inning-know-it-all. It's all like 9, the number 9, inning know-it-all. And find Josh on Twitter at 9inning-know-it-all. And you can find my boy Norm under Tez Baseball. Big shout outs to them too. All right, guys, I'm out because I've been talking way too long. I'll see you guys later.